Branko Milanović, The Haves and the Have-Nots, A Brief and Idiosyncratic History of Global Inequality. Delve into the world of economic inequality in Branko Milanovic's book, The Haves and the Have-Nots, A Brief and Idiosyncratic History of Global Inequality. Explore how prominent economists, such as Vilfredo Pareto and Simon Kuznets, impacted the study of income distribution and the role of social arrangement in shaping inequality. This summary unravels the concepts of good and bad inequality, the intricacies of measuring income disparities, and the implications of socialism on equality. Learn about the role of one's place of birth in determining their financial prospects and the comparisons between the United States and Europe in terms of economic inequality.
Does social arrangement affect income distribution? The early 1900s saw Vilfredo Pareto conclude that income distribution is not affected by social arrangement. He formed this opinion through the omnipresent 80-20 law, which states that 80% of an economy's effects are caused by 20% of the causes. However, Simon Kuznets challenged Pareto's beliefs in 1955 by theorizing that inequalities do change as society advances. After conducting extensive research, Kuznets found that economic growth initially increases income inequality, but later decreases it. Improved education and progressive state policies, like income redistribution mechanisms, showed that social arrangements do have an effect on income inequality. The cholesterol of inequality. Inequality can be both beneficial and detrimental to a society's economic growth. It can motivate people to work hard and pursue entrepreneurial projects, which is considered good. However, it can also create complacency in society, limiting economic growth, and stifling creativity, which is considered bad. Inequality is directly linked to a society's economic efficiency, and it is also strongly linked to economic justice. When inequality is the result of discrimination based on race, gender, or inheritance, it is unjust, even if it doesn't negatively impact economic growth. In this way, inequality can be compared to cholesterol. It can be good or bad, depending on the amount and the effect it has on society's overall body. Protesters demanding a refashioning of social foundations exposed the relationship between inequality and economic justice. Measuring income inequality. Investigating Gini coefficient as a tool. Measuring income inequality is crucial to understanding its effects on a society. However, it is a challenging task as household income surveys haven't existed for long, making data for developing countries scarce. Besides, when it comes to measuring inequality, it's complex to discern each person's income's distribution pattern. Italian economist Corrado Gini's invented method, Gini coefficient, measures inequality by comparing an individual's income with the rest of the population. Gini's formula calculates the sum of income differences divided by the total number of people and their average income. This calculation provides a unit of measurement ranging from 0 to 1. Accordingly, Latin America is the most unequal continent, whereas Nordic countries are the most egalitarian. Measuring income inequality with the Gini coefficient helps compare inequality levels between countries and continents. Comparing wealth across time and countries. Comparing the wealth of nations across different times and countries can be complicated, but there are methods to enable such comparisons. One method is by converting the currency of different countries into an imaginary standard currency, called the PPP. By utilizing complicated math, we can project backward to find GDP per capita in the past, using the growth rates over the years and measuring income by its ability to purchase human labor. Using this method, American industrialist John D. Rockefeller is considered the richest person ever. Another method allows us to look at the global makeup of wealth distribution, revealing that half of the world's richest 1% is made up of 29 million Americans, with no significant numbers from Russia or Africa, India, and Eastern Europe. The Perils of Socialism. Socialism can create equality, but it also hinders innovation and growth, leading to corruption at the top. While socialism may seem like a promising solution for equality, historical evidence shows that it comes with its own set of challenges. Before World War II, socialist systems were more egalitarian than capitalist ones, but the nationalization of large industrial and landowning fortunes led to little incentive for citizens to work hard or creatively. Thus, socialist economies failed to produce internationally successful products that could compete with Western counterparts. A socialist government's lofty ideals do not guarantee a corruption-free regime, as those at the top often use their power to funnel money from society. While socialism aimed for equality, it stifled innovation and growth, raising doubts about whether equality was a worthwhile goal. Therefore, it is essential to consider the economic incentives and opportunities for innovation in creating an egalitarian society. The rise and persistence of intercountry inequality. Countries like Brazil and India are substantially less prosperous than the United States or Great Britain. The difference in wealth among nations became a problem after the Industrial Revolution, when industrialized nations surged ahead economically and other nations were left behind. The inequality grew until the 1950s and then decreased over time, but it has resurged in the last 30 years. One of the causes for this resurgence of inequality is the Lucas paradox. The tendency for capital to circulate among rich countries rather than flowing from rich countries to poor ones exacerbates the disparity. Another contributing factor is that rich nations and wealthy people in poor countries prefer investing in rich nations to limit financial risk. Even though poorer countries offer low wages and high returns on capital, they are still perceived as risky. For example, in 2007, China received far less foreign direct investment than the Netherlands, France, or Great Britain, despite having a larger population. This disparity can be attributed in part to China's perceived status as a poor nation. The impact of place of birth on income. Karl Marx's idea of class-based income inequality has evolved into a new form of inequality based on place of birth. Today, more income disparity exists between countries than within them. The wealth of the country in which you were born plays a vital role in determining your income, accounting for more than 60% of the variability in global income. The working classes of emerging economies have more in common with the working classes of rich countries than with the poorer classes in developing countries. Your place of birth and parents' income class combined explain more than 80% of your income. Although factors like gender, race, age, and hard work contribute to the remaining 20%, moving up within that range often has little effect on your global income position, which is largely predetermined by your birth country. Contrasting inequality between the US and Europe. This book's summary compares income inequality in the United States and Europe, delving into the factors that contribute to differences in their Gini coefficients. While the US and EU overall have similar Gini scores, the United States inequality measure was higher than countries such as France and Germany. The primary reason for this is that in the US, both wealthy and poor individuals are dispersed throughout the country, while in the EU, inequality among member countries is a more significant factor. The summary also examines the global middle class, which is mainly based in Asia and Latin America, and how it compares to the middle class in developed countries. One compelling finding is that almost none of the global middle class comes from developed countries because these countries' upper income boundaries are too high. The summary provides valuable insights into the nuances of income inequality on a global scale and invites readers to consider how factors such as geography and social structure can impact inequality in different ways.
In Milanovic's comprehensive study of global economic inequality, we uncover the foundations laid by Pareto and Kuznets in understanding the complex dynamics of income distribution and social arrangements. We discover the distinction between good and bad inequality, and the close relationship between inequality and economic efficiency. The book reveals the challenges in measuring inequality and methods like the Gini coefficient. It highlights the impact of socialism on equality and the influence of one's place of birth in determining financial outcomes. Finally, the differences in the sources of inequality between the United States and Europe are explored, shedding light on the complexities of global financial disparities.